look back in matches like that, certainly a much less physical and a more skillful game, I would have to say, than it was at that time. But great teams, add a great bit of colour to it. And yet, when you look at it, you would have to say that in the whole country, Kerry and Galway probably are not the best supported teams. Some of the newer teams have taken over. Maybe Galway and Kerry take it for granted.
Yeah, maybe they do. Now, all right, let's move on to the minor match, obviously, because we see the Cork minor team out of the field here. A difficult day, Pat Spillane, I think, for Cork football today, maybe, and for this minor team, given what happened in the semi-final, the Derry match, the 2 yellow cards and all this kind of stuff.
The minor championship is a funny sort of championship this year. Certainly a much lower standard than last year. The quality of the teams that we've seen this year has been poor. Last year you had a Cork minor team, a Mayo minor team who were quite superb, and a Down team who were even more superb and won the All-Ireland. Right. This Cork minor team unfortunately didn't get any credit for winning their semi-final because of all the furore over Kieran Murphy. I think not wishing to go back in it again, but I think the Cork County Board lost a lot of kudos, and sure, I think they should have agreed to replay. But anyway, notwithstanding,
but it's not these lads' fault.
It's not these lads, and these guys gave a fantastic performance. Derry were the fancy team. Cork lost their best player, Conrad Murphy, after 20 minutes, and you would have said there was no chance at all. Now, come at the hour, come at the man, they had James Masters, an unsung hero, up to then, and he played a brilliant match in the semi-final. I think Cork I would slightly fancy Cork. I think this is a fairly average. The word from the Mayo camp is that there is not a whole pile of optimism behind them. They have a very good, solid, hard-working defence, a dodgy midfield, and only basically 2 forwards capable of scoring, Alan Dillon and young Mortimer. I think Cork midfield are much stronger now that Conrad Murphy's back, and they have young McLaughlin, who was missing most of the year, back from the hurlers, and Mark O'Connor in. They're a stronger team than beat Derry in the semi-final, and I would be more convinced of backing Cork to win the minors than I would in Kerry for the seniors.
All right, Pat Spillane, well, nonetheless, these little lads here are going to put their mark on today's proceedings. I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever. There's an All-Ireland final and All-Ireland medals on offer for them as well. To run down through 2 teams now, both of the teams, let's join our match commentator, Micheál O'Shea.
Guramahagat Michael, agus an dair an amahir bark, tá mí fiachan tutsa, inis an VO, agus tá na fórna shot, séis bwol ar chéile, cúig nuire, a greif chomórta shana, agus Corcaig chuncínet son, 3 a 2 a láhar na huire an scór, ach shahéad a gif for an VO, agus dar no buaiteach súd ligach, buaiteach an Eileh, buaiteach in aig gros gomáin, agus buaiteach in a himmerst in aig na hir ví. Marsin, go lór clohí imracha, Cúcín do chluhí fad, agus a láhile atsa, a dheachant le Mayo, a bhealach an báilgitsa, beag ráid go gibh gan róhílere, fuirin Chorcaí, agus an lochtacaíochta Mayo an son, a líine, agus he mar a chin sibh, an lága breá, an riana taineh atsa, a báilge Chrocaig, agus sehéad fuirin Chorcaí an agus sinnéad an irin an son, agus sa líine lechúil an son, an nolagóla éide, fad na gailtochta, agus Larsley, Dennis O'Hare, Mac the Derry, agus a Muchalard Parke, Aharú Edwin on Lajarnach, Gary McLaughlin Gimmers, agus David Burns, a Masna none of the Hick, Kieran Murphy and Fargar of a Hind Galir Mayallard, agus an Isha Masna Dussahe, Aharú Elle, Mark O'Connor a Gimmers, a Mani Shud, agus Art Kyle to get Declan Barton, Declan a Mas Navarona, agus Conrad Murphy, agus Galore train all at the end online of Wigge, agus James Masters, the Vichomasan, Suchlohe, Lechanish, agus Connor Brosnan in that no, then a Rajur, a Monahe, High Gimmers, Edwin a co, agus Shahid and so, an Eden, agus Fidden, agus Homa, agus Schnee JP Kanenson, a Schnee train Ollie, Rio, that no, agus Ishan a Suil, agus sinna fiachant ar Rio, a Ri Salson Aldenson, Ishan a Suil, Gamegan scored 3-3 tish an Leinov. Ach Shahid Fidden Rio, agus Rory Kane a Gimmert, Vishashud a Gimmert, Sachrev Canish an Idig, Ni Reidig Low, Gimmert Ishtik Sachuine, agus an son, Las Moda, Conor Morden, Farrell Levi Gimmert, Visha Gimmert a Grev Canish a Chunta, Dead on the Kaite, agus Ni Reidig Lish and Lawson, Achilid, Muchalard Parke, Alan Burke, Mac the Vike Burke, agus an son, MS na Dussahe, Tá Alan Dillon, vi sé siúd a gimmert, de hénig a horse lín lánta sachan idig, agus Paul Carey, Farrelle, a gimmert anava, agus fer na gaeltachta istig sa chuine, Antone, Mac idachtig, agus an taharú, Dwayne Flynn, isin a gimmert inov, agus Cormac Rowland, a mask na veranad, agus iad a Shine, agus a Sharahain, and so, Tier Gael, dar no, dan Wahemúar, agus Nosfrucht, a winning Logalir.
So that's the rundown, the two teams. We'll be going back to Mihal in a little while, but it's time now for another break. Just before that though, let's hear of the painful memories of West of Ireland comedian Kevin Kildea.
Hello, I'm from Sligo. There's 5 words you never hear in Sligo. The Sam Maguire's coming home. So anyway, in the 60s, 70s and 80s and the 90s, because I couldn't bet on Sligo because they wouldn't go beyond the Shannon, I had to pick other teams to support. So I supported Mayo, Roscommon and Galway. And I did this by not considering them Mayo, Roscommon and Galway, but considering them Connacht. So if they won, I won and Sligo won. In the last few years, Sligo has seen new young players come through with loads of potential, really good talent. And in 1998, this finally all came together when Galway won the All-Ireland final and the Sam Maguire came home across the Shannon. It was then I realised that Galway is Galway, Sligo is and forever will be Sligo. I'm from Sligo and the Sam Maguire is on holidays. Forever.
Park. There's about 5 minutes to go now before the throw-in in the All-Ireland minor final between Cork and Mayo. The thoughts of Colm O'Rourke on this one. Really, Cork, I suppose, on paper looked the strongest side, but we keep making the point, Colm, that with minors you never quite know, do you?
You never know. The minor championship has run completely against the form that I thought actually Dublin had the best team looking at minor football, and they didn't even win Leinster. Westmeath won it, and you'd think that they'd have to have a great chance. And of course, they looked as if they were going to be in the final, and they were caught by a late Mayo rally, and it's very unusual for Mayo to come to Croke Park, stage a late comeback and then win the replay.
Win the replay, yeah.
So like it shows that these Mayo players have certainly the guts and character to win a game, but I think Cork are going to be physically stronger. Kieran Murphy and James Masters and Conrad, the centre forward, Conrad Murphy is a very good player. Conor Mortimer could do anything for Mayo, anything. But
yes, loose cannon this
yes,
yeah.
But I think you'd have to still say that Cork's form would look the more impressive.
One of the things that you were, I think it was you that were saying to me a moment ago that one of the Mayo team played in the championship down there last week.
No, sorry.
Sorry, you, Pat.
Martin Connolly was making the point that he felt that maybe the preparation of the Mayo minors, not that he was criticising, but I mean, in any young Morden, the left half back for Sligo, played for Borrashul in last week's Mayo senior final. Now, I know in any other county, if a lad was playing in an All-Ireland minor final, any competitions would have been certainly called off. So you just wonder about the priorities in Mayo as regards this minor team this year.
Well, right now, as you can see, on the red carpet, we have the president of the GAA, Sean McCaig, and also the patron of the GAA, Dr. Dermot Clifford, is there with them as well. And they're being introduced to the crowd who have come in early, and actually the crowd has filled out a nice little bit now. The green, white and orange, as you saw there on the flagpole, sitting fairly limp at the moment. No breeze to speak of, Colm O'Rourke. Conditions for football actually quite good, even if the pitch is a bit heavy. Yeah, conditions are very, very good. It's the sort of day you'd like to play in All-Ireland. It looks as if players might be able to get away without gloves. There's going to be no wind, and it's also cloudy, because here in Croke Park at this time of the year, especially in the second half, if you have a cloudless sky, it can be very difficult for backs who are facing out from the railway end, because the ball is going to be coming in high out of the sun. So if it stays cloudy, it'll be just about perfect. But to take up on that point there about the Mayo player, I think that when we see this new regime of championship fixtures coming in next year, I think you're going to see county boards are going to have to do that more. They're going to have to say we're putting on the club matches irrespective of the county games. And I think the Mayo County Board are dead right to have a game, because there's no point inconveniencing 30 club players for the sake of one. Yeah, what you're saying basically is it just can't next year anyway, if these new games come in, it can't be just deferring everything. That's right, you're going to have to put down a schedule of club games and stick to them. All right, gentlemen, well, as you can see, they're all ready to go then for the minor match. Michael Monaghan, the centre of the field from Kildare, ready to throw in the ball. Let's go back again to Mihal as An Taoiseach arrives at Croke Park, and again, he too about to be introduced to the crowd.
Gurmahagat Michael agus Shachuid an Tishach Bertie Herden agus Liam O'Mail Vihil an Cleve Sturhoid from Lucas Goyle agus a Van Moidi. Agus Schneiden Saniad an Tishach Bertie Herden agus Lí a Yenov Suas na Céimena an Sahige agus a Húlacon an Son tá Liam O'Mail Vihil agus a Van Moide agus Ryan Dachar Hidianta ge Mayo Hannah Hain Dwayne Flynn me histach mar Lanta Sach Ellen Dillon takahimach Eddie Glihan Tony Gerrity takahimach in Nahat Slat agus Conor Martimer me histach Selina Lanta Sach Hede Aharu e Masna Dussahe Hannah Hain ge Mayo agus an Marsin a Rana Shedas Gargame Hesse in Michigan mar tá Banacul Wachali Ardain a Fogad na Poitke agus tá an Multoid Michael Monaghan o Hildara a Lord Poitke agus RT an Haide Chahavan Orde agus Tús a Chur le Clohi Canish Minuid dan Mlien a Havíl an Haid Catan Orde agus Tús Correlation Immert agus Shachuin Corpig a Dollar an Unsaí an Haid at Son again Kieran Murphy on Tamani Homa a Kalistian at Kieran agus Erkik as Regan Hayan way near around Law even Malach and Kaide agus Dishistic Sahunig James Masters Cup there the Pordne on Waishan Kiet score Lenaketoig with the Stachige Achsara Histig David Clark W.O. Wood to Machigashin, Goody Alan Burke and Hadlar Port, get drunk out, Shahed Conrad Murphy, Agus Karana Ein Share of his pad, we got to her, done mouth the Dernach, Beach got to him, Sarah Hishtig David Clapp, Oil Hannah, Amach Goody, Rory Kane, we shall shoot some like Canish and the dig, Agus Shahud Alan Dillon and Want the Sach, a half Mohidigly Hon, the Water the Wade, we shall shoot some like Canish and the dig, and pass me Hamu, Agus Deshinish, Ega Cork, Dollar in Unsea, Connor Brosnahan, Amani shoot Homa, Agus Anna Philadoid. Well to get as the gacha, well, Eredalov, Edemoltoid, Agus Marshin, Kikimach of the gown, W.O. Swisley, Nomad Emere Mehe, and so Chlohe, Canish, Agus, on Cool Boyde, David Clark, Attacktamach, Bishesho, Own Agus Fe Shabli on the Diag, Agus Bishe Grave Canish on Hunte, Fe Shabli on the Diag, Bisheshoot, Ogo, and Hanimera reached the Vienchahun, David Clark, below this Namayo, Og Hanimera, and Vienchahoid. Had the Yanashia the new. Along the park, you get Edmund Barrett, Strasnagri, Conor Moden, Sarah, the Cork, you get Nolo Donovan. On pass, Saul, Goody, John Collins, Harnash, Goody, Paul McCarthy, Vortistach, Godas, Egashin, Goody, Conor Brosnan, Agus Shahun, Kieran Murphy, on Tamani, and Vaishashu, John Collins going, John Collins on a hands and holding, and John the British back, near right. On Mayo, tá John Collins gortathe, tá sé Adalov, tá sé gortathe, an immer til leanún til raig, agus Dermot Gerrity, tá John Post Adalov, agus sé gairí na hasaf in ish, agus Halístianta Alan Dillon. Washin, Barógóvid, an Baltason, the Chorpig, an Mayo, sinné John Collins, agus vi Shansige, an Baltason, Beidir, Shohe Inish, on Heidige Kieran Murphy, Ishtach Goody John Collins, Sinead John, Agus, on Meolish, Lee, Nachstura Shestachi, Ach Edovidi, and Tail, W.O. Agus Tor Lai Shachor, John Collins, Hannah Heinig, Anna Lua Sinimert, Vishachudan on the Gunif Huntach Lloyd, Agus a Gimmert, and so a Gimmert Leshinch of Desheligan, Fiachenter Shinner East. On Hyde Porter Stachig Kieran Murphy, Agus Shannon Agus and Cool Boyd is Dolum, Bre and Sonner, Leonard Rowick, David Clark, Tim Pisht, Evian, Achtasha Cat Galore, Pan Vertical Cat Galore, Agus Serkik, Evigan W.O., the Connor Mode. Lenakatoig, Count Ord, Agus Shohe, James Masters, the Horpig, Bachtiga James, Captain the Fordne, Agus Kalish Denter James, Marshin, Serkik, Agus Turigan Multohuid, Eigen Council, Wittestach, and Vaig, Marco Connor Council Stick, Mark Schlau the Hedadolov, Mashini Vaishen Council, Mach Ahashi Shotach, Agus, Wont Holy Vio, Ronan Welsh, Wiltagamach, Goody Alan Burke, Alan Burke, Panatevline, agus Shohe Paul Prenti and Farafwyd Cool Cynwnwch ac Shohe Tony Gerritinish fad na gaeltachta o Fialafwyd fad na gaeltachta ffos y sialif na caidi Wilti Ishtachige agus Dwayne Flynn, Shohe Dwayne anna fach dictyd ag Dwayne anna yes Ishtachige Paul Prenti ond mae eisiau cwlen yn ei fai cwlyn ag Paul Prenti ond chiad sgwrs na chwyd canish fach dy gydasan synige Matcha Hor dy John Rooney Cwyge Chwyge Chonocht agus Sinead Sunny an tar a fwyd yn cwl cynwnwch yn naig na hir fi agus ason y rasbyd yn ahemert agus an fwy le ag Mayo le pwynt y foen sy'n ahemert. Marsin, cicamach ag Kevin Murphy, y Joe Lord na Park, y Gary Narde, Gary McLaughlin, snel na hywyd fach ag Alan Dillon, a skipper hyr an dalwm ag Alan Dillon agus nolig o leiri, fad na gaeltachta o Hil na Martra, weltamach gyda Conrad Murphy, had nash gyda nolig yn eich stech, a nes y faig nolig sgôl. Siohe nolig, wyt y stech gyda asig gyda Kieran McMahon, ac i'r achsar hyn gyda siant y chôl, agos chôl ag Conor Brosnan, ond gyda chôl, again Amani, agos Peladwyd, agos nolig o leide, a yin yn pas gydas, agos marsin, siohe nolig o leide, y pasad na caidi, ystechad so gyda Kieran McMahon trasna gyda Conor Brosnan agus Anna Talod istechan Lian Tawn. Marsin. Yeti Michel Lewis do hugger Kierich ahead Conor Brosnan ach Shohe. Marco Conor and Tamon istech gyda Conrad Murphy o Nedina har siwd choma. Pwyntig a hard a rish dach a jod. Hedd na live edition on Bautasa ege Conor Brosnan. Marsin. Sean Seligan and Coulson ag Ishkin, Kieran McMahon and son, agus iarach le háirithe ach take gyda Conor Brosnan in ámhaid íon tail na Conor agus na Corcaig Marsin o ráchúilín Farasbáid agus na Corcaig go glóti isteach an chúine. Agus siohe cosint a bhío Conor Moden, bhfuilteach ag Conor agus an Farlá Park Edmund Barrett ach Sarah Henson ag Nolo Donovan da Corcaig, ceann anna ard bhfuiltige. Yogi shot. Fachta sticks a chwyn rhystig a Ronan Welsh. Tos no ma ach Caramach Harish a Devline again one holy Martian kick the Corking. Kick Stassa o Vanspel Arkeen Ronan Welsh agus. Shohe James Masters and Captain with the Stajo Emma the Carnoig agus Anna Watson Eric Rory Kane. Dar no the Rory ounce of Lohikanish and Eric agus David Clark Katachtamach when on kick sayer a Hogan. Wilte Harish Lord na Park Rohemach to Anthony Macadachtig, Fanta Gaeltach, Wintago, agus Trasna gyda Paul Prenti, and Farafwyd Pwynti, had Nash gyda Tony Garrity, agus Calais Dienta, Arna Gaeltachta and Baltasa, Marsin, Serkick, the Vio, agus Conor Mortimer, a Hokig Council, Todd Do a Fihanoi. I'm she again Vapsa, Sukhrev Homotus Gadisa, that no cookie in the Hlohi Emerica. Agus Tosagan Galeed, Kehe Conor Mortimer, Jahar the Kennett, Ishe Gloshte, Earlahe, no St. Jarlets, agus Wig St. Podrig, and Uev, or a Saud, the team, a Filin Chilim Iruitk, Marsin, Conor Mortimer, agus Elachan a Broige, Oiniev, or Doshige, agus Cowan, well, Hune Bonnets on it. Agus the midoid evi Martin Carney ra ma vin chesa humor agus ta sulig na Mayo gur fad go mesiesa humor eno agus go meklo himahige that no Galia Cork nach Marsin evech go haide het Dennis O'Hare evek hadier sud ach meade no beder evech al ball man Neil Mortimer gimmert mo het na hat slata helle so der al nich ach ni hos na shaun Shahe Mortimer Lenake Toig Wilte ag Conor Mortimer agus Pwynti W ag Conor Mortimer. Marsin treis suas le hocht nomati emere Kinchivitson nofelaun ach en Pwynti Voin. Agus Shohe anish an ard Watson ag Rory Kane. Sha Rory Kane evis a chlohicanish anadig agus is John Skille an ard Watson Erson. Agus anish Shahuin Alan Burke. Anna Trevline. Agus Anna Amich the sticks a chwyn ach Bachton Baltas ag Dwayne Flynn. Chance ag Dwayne, Bwynt ag Dwayne, Trasnan Chwyl. Anna Chwan a rish ag Eddie Burke. Well, Chomal Rory Kane in the live elite. Agus Shohe, Paul Carey, an ard the midoide Paul Carey. Mach gyda Conor Mortimer. Connor agus é déanamh slí go hen. Anna Yarrow, Wallistach, Anna Lewis, Anna Dana Gamachs, Anna Havoy, and Sunday Conrad Murphy, Agus Shahe, Dwayne Flynn, Agus Yerach Sara Herish, Agus Nolo Jonathan, Kalish Dinter Noel, Welch the top again Noel. One Tamach, Chance again Mayo, Rory Kane, Harnash, Goody, Alan Burke, Mark the White Burke. Welch top again, Welch Hanover Higgins, Chance score and Sunday Edmund Barrett, Print again, Edmund Barrett. Marshall on the forward at post score. He's in the guy lead son, like I see the Dochosach here, the soul, Gadiana shed the vast and Kerry Lloyd. Bishigas 9 over the Emery, Agashahe, reached and Hyde Corrigan, Alan Burke, Edmund Barrett, Edmund, Arashadras now. Wiltemach again, Kevin Murphy, Anna Wall and son again, Kieran Murphy, and Tamani, and Hyde Mihawig, Wiltemach, Paul Prenti, Paul and Anamul, Yerach Sarahe, Agashahe. W. Paul Carey, Trust of the Portke, Sarahe, Mark O'Connor, Kalish Dinter Vart, Sir Kick the Horping. Nolla goleire, fan går att ta stäcka Joe Carnoge. Vad sker där själva då? Han har varit reached to David Clark och Mark O'Connor. Shahe David. Marshall and Paul David på ro. Agus Kalish Dinter David. Marshall, alla vart det get David Clarkinson. Mark O'Connor, vi ser direkt cool och I'm show Shahen. Hyde på det stäck. Mark Glenn Ach Sara Higgadasige David Clark. Agus Kalish Dinter David Weidenheimshire. Deno Matigule, Van Morgoine Atra. Guiding order, so well, Alan Dillon, which he fact again, Kalish Dinter Alan. Alan Abola Machatsugari, Paul Carey, Paul and Abig. Well, Tishtachalash Liga, and Van Dinter Sunage, Paul Dean. Paul Dean analyzed it, and Von Holy, this shed Jennifer Lord Portke, August kick, work the all. Dish and Sunage, James Masters, the Kalish James. Captain of Forne or Rena Hinimo, Schninsone, Nimashe, Anava, and I Quiddy, Sahohela Canish, James Masters, on Captain, Agassi, went to Trust and Sonagadi, Connor Brosnan, Sara Hishtig reached to get David Clark, David Tikasek, Gimmert Gama, Amakudi, Alan Burke, Drakown and Bounteson, Paul McCarthy, the Horpig, Passana or the Fad. Back to get Conrad Murphy, Shahe Conrad, Anna Felladoid, Agus, Conrad a Macbos, Bert Kudagohige, Schlaunahe, Idahe, Wiltiga Hard, Agus, Anna Point again, Conrad Murphy, Point to Anna Yas the Horpig, Schneensone, Agus, Anna Ruhar Dientige, Agus, Anna Point, and Hiet Count the Horpig, Agus Hiet Erash Huntusig. Marshall, Kikemach, David Clark, Machajo, Lord the Podke, Nulligo Lady, Kalish Dinter Nullig, Alan Dillon, Agus Sir Kick, the Archil the Master, Olan Chlede, a Wahershood, Weltigan Nullig, Stakul Glotigadi, Connor Brosnan, Connor Agaseg, Dianagam Hashtiks the Hoine, Weltigat, why she counts the Harnash. Well, Tashi Fachtige Mark O'Connor and Tamani, as his Teledor Granta, Anna Pointing and Mark O'Connor. Crossing Horpy and Son, Agassi the Dian of Gama, Mark O'Connor, Visha Shoot, Sahwev Canish, Kaikiso Hin, a Barker Croke, Lishna Hamanahe, a Hena Do, Lenada Tree, Agus. Well, Niraidik Low, a night the Gali, Visha the Soul, Gunyana Shed and that, a night Vio, you know. Wiltelen Goran again, Gary McLaughlin, Bachte, get Paul Prenti, Wiltigadasica, get Dermot Costello. Dermot Costello, I said here, Dwayne Flynn, I'm sure. Dwayne Flynn, against Paul Dean, Wayne Edadalov, against Pitchlassa, Evegal, the Horpig, the Stolum, Sha, Eddie Burke, a Macht Trasnach, and a Council, a Hogant. Eddie Burke, the Gostihinis Tushkim Lena, that no Jahar, the Dave Burke. Agus bhí sé gimmartalína lechúil an áslíoch, chomá builte amachgadí Kieran Murphy. Harnash, agus amachadsa gadí Mark O'Connor, níha amachadsa se gadí Mark O'Connor. Shahe, James Masters, Anna Vartich Dintiga James, Anna Skill, Anna Rohan, Wallishtach, Bertin Palit, Lena Katoy, Gaharish, Goody, David Clark, Anna Hut Kaja, Ahoristach, Goody, and Mayo, I guess the Corky, Goodisa, Agus. Well, Tashi had half inch on Tussig. Agus Shahe, Paul Carey. Sarhagen, Nulligol Stachel Ashley, Yoga Council, Anna Vartich, Dinton Bautison, like a Kieran McMahon, Ach Drohirach, O here. Well, in Chegoma, Kieran, Agus, and Height, a Royal, Ach. The Ridiglish, then Irach, Agus Deshigan, James Masters, against just that's the skill, Hammer, Mikey Sheehy, no party Sheehy, Shears the Quaggy, the Kiri, and the skillig James Masters, I'm sure all the Ganel Kilo, Corky Homaha, Shahed Herbert Costello, and Nashid Sugady, Rory Kane, here at Sarah Hitson, Agus, Chancelish against the Corky, Conor Brosnan, the Corky, and Machgady James Masters. Well, Hashe, Nietzsche Crystal Hanish the Mayo, Kenny Heroada, Anna Hossin, Dintiga Mayo, Agus Kenny Heroada, again James Masters, Agus Marshin, Sir Kick, Evegown, Don Mayo, David Clark. Lashley, Tree the Gearla, as a Regan Hoyen, Looney Greyhound. Also going to go Masha and a shed and go Hishin Chikoma, Agus Navigate Washtach again, Galore Scamble, Cap Galore, Shahe James Masters, Reach the Hot Kick, Agus College Theatre James. Safe kick, the Hot Kick. A Hain, the Stocha, a Ho Kick, Agus Teddy Holland and Son, tossing a Gawil Eden, a half feet to Huntusig, Banishtowid, Horkoi, Banishtowed them in the Ur. Agus Conrad Murphy, Agus JPK and Darno. Banishtowid Wio, Ach Shahe Conrad Murphy. Stachet Zo the Carno again, Agus Sarhagadas, Stigig Connor Morden. Wiltiga Connor, Agus, well, Huishiv the Wio, on Council, attack the Matlehe, Dermot Costello. Dracown, Mike Nolligo in Council. Yoig Nolliga, Willifachtiga Nollig, Palish Dente, and Emertilano Tiraik, Paul Dean. Agus Deshinishiga, Mark O'Connor, Shohemar, Arana Lloyded, Elena Kitoig, Agus, Welchiaun, Neil, Time the Live Edition, and Bautisa, Mark O'Connor, the Sakhlohe Kanish, and Ike the Gali, Agus Ehenig, Agus Conor Brosnahan, Agus Darnovi Rory McCarthy, Homahound. Shahe Markerish, the Guardian Order. After Butcher and Baltus, Alan Dillon the Wio. Alan, a Markeri, Alan Burke, Shahe Alan, Mark the Bike Burke, because I'm at this. Scope, flashing again. Anna Roher, Inish, attack the Gaudier, Tony Garrity. Alan Dillon, last mother, College into Tony. Agus, Sir Kick, Evegown the Wio. Jessica Verna, Ali Do, Bader. Marshen. Sir Kick the Wio, Agus Conor Mortimer, attack the Mach, and accounts a Hogant. Quintavoin, again Conor Godisa, Martian Doitchachas a Crave Comortus Godisa again, a bin Doitchachahan, Shad Doitchachahan, again Conor Mortimer. Well, Anna Fella Doid, Agus a Gimmer to Sticks a Huine, I know in every henny ahead. Nor Harris and Galir Diantiga Mayo, Paul Carey, Edna Hatslot, Maravian Verolive, Nis Tushki, Marshin, Ikamacha Vegown, Kevin Murphy. A Guardian Order, Kieran Murphy, Achbachta, again Mark O'Connor, Arana Lloyded, Wittestachige, Agus Shahe, Paul Carey, Strasnagadi Prenti, Paul Prenti, College Dianter Fall. Agus Sir Kick the Wio. Paul Carey, and accounts Hogan, Neil. Ashahed, and Ruhistach about us. Arno Matiak Martian Falker. Welter Ovidin, Roadach and Keen and Son, Ed Fall Prenti, Agus Martian, Bachta, Agus College Dente, Ed Fall McCarthy, Welter Tapagadi, Nolligol Lady, or Hilda Mastra. Bwyltig yn olig, ysdach gyda Asenson, agos fachtan eisiau gyda Conrad Murphy o Kieran McMahon, ac amach ar eisiau dy blin, marsin cic stasa y fe gael dy fi o. Bwyltig fan o dy blin, agos cyrramach ag yn gorgwych. Cyrramach at son ag Dennis O'Hare, agos dar no fi'ch ahasiw Jerry i gymryd dy chorgwy, agos Jim Kennelly, so alym gyrwncwyl, leis yn tahar Jim Kennelly. Ac Siohe, Paul Carey. Ort Felidwyr, efe, ac eich yn eilach o'ma. Mae'n o'ma didiag, emar y mehe. Agos... Yn molt twyr, chyn eich haid eich haf yn ordi. Yn chwynt efo yn hoed yn y ffwrdd y Sianele, Willie Fachtenson, ag Dennis O'Hare. Agos ser cic i fe gael, dy chorcwig, Sinead Dennis, agos Will yn son, Leon y Fiel. Nilyn Fachtag ysdolym, Siohe Kieran Murphy. Ond tamán i eile dar no, fi ag Corcwig. Yn aig na gael I, fi se siwd ag imert sa chwl. Anach wal ag Paul Dean. Tac a hymach fe'n bod, gyda John Collins. Ond nhw'n gyda nolig o leiri. Nolig ymach nes, a calais dient ag nolig. Ond bawt ysa, marsin ser cic da fi o, Alan Bork, a hwgwig i camsa. Wyltig e Alan. Agos y Cork yn son, ar dal o Conor Martimer. Bachtig e Conor. Agos calais dientyd, ydy'r moltoid yn son, yn dal oedd yn ordig Eddie Bork. Jahard a Dave Bork. Agos Siohe, Conor Martimer. Jahard a Kenneth Martimer. Dyn o'n beth i mar a chi'n chips y hyd na. Iawn a or, dain sier ach a Joe na Carno i gi. Agos Bachta stig y mil o foede yn son. Agos gwantamach ag Eddie Bork gyda'r amach gyda Dennis O'Hare. Agos ni hash eisiau Eddie Bork yn ish. Eddie Machtlish. Pascar y faras gydasig agos fachta ag glwt ag James Masters. Anach o siach ag James, na iaw gynir ta Dermot Gerrity, Siohe James. Ach, wynt ag gydas gyda Mac O'Connor ag fachta ag Mark. Gawn y hywig, lo sie har nashi. Conor Moore na diar gestop, Conor Cork o hege, Mark O'Connor am achtersta, ond mae eisiau cwl, Mark O'Connor, agos cwl ag Mark O'Connor. Anoch lwysio diant yn son ag ond tamani, ond teledwyr, pan eisiau y bord, mae'n ond ydi, gymunig sy'n chleb chymortas yn blian, ach ai gymryd yn ywf, sy'n so he, ond chaid yn y glac ag agos Conor Moore yn Cork o hege, ond rwhar diant ag agos Lenach y Tywig, ond fach diant David Clark. Agos inis ta sé gostithe, Siohe Ríiste, an Marta Stachanson, Mark O'Connor, Lenach y Tywig, Hannah Tevline, agos an bachdiant David Clark ag agos taca hi chuige hyn, agos Siohe Ríiste, Marta Stach, agos, wel, be Corcwig anahos dy lysyn. Wel, Kieran, ni hach Gary McLaughlin, dyn egin saad sy'n drawmig, ach wg sian o cos y lysh. Agos Siochwyn, Ronan Welch. Ronan Welch, agos calais diantel, ser cic da fi o. Marsin, sgôr y tasdolyn ish o fi o, yn tachtar nas y chlwhe. Agos Siohe Paul Carey. Agos Ada amach fe'n boed, gach ei gymryd yr yna hat slat. Gorstw dioged, agos Siohe Alan Bork, yn y counter o hogant. Ach drach iawn o Alan Bork. I fe gen stro yn eich ar y Corcwig. Gary McLaughlin, har nash gyda Eddie Bork, cawn mor ffada o Eddie. Gaid i'n orda, Conor Brosnan, ac fachta nish gyda Dermot Gerrity. Dermot, Lenach Oran, gyda Dermot Costello. Lenach y Tywig, haid anna ord, nolig o leiri, agos Alan Dillon. Fachta gan nolig, wytid fyrtig gan nolig, agos bwyltig gyda asig gyda Paul McCarthy. Ach drofas, sora hi gyda Dermot Costello. Paul Carey. A mae oig y bwg yn y caide o wynig y dyni, Conor Morden, agos bwylt y harnash gyda Paul Prenti. Ysdach a Joe Conor Martimer, fachta gyda asig y Conor. Anna Garrow, na dirig y chos, Eddie Bork. So he Conor y rysht, agos ei dirig cor y hwrt, ac ni cheffisht, mecht Harris Bork. Conor Martimer gyffol. Agos saite yn son, agos ser cic da fi o. Marsin. Sgôr y tasdol o fi o, yn tachtar nash. Dwbyn sgôr yn y Corcwig, a lachar na hwedi. Marsin, Siohe Conor, ni he, ac ni he hwgwig yn counter. Marsin, Alan Dillon, a bhí I gimmer sa chréibh cheana sin ydig. Agus a chliháid Gary, a bhí náinach leis, sa lína lánta sachan ydig. Ach sehe, mléana, well, hyd y jihaid. Fe hoch mléana diag chuige mléana, ach sehe Alan. Agus fiális cawn y bwchtyn, ches cawn y chaliwn dyn ydig ach sin dra cawn o Alan Dillon. I ref ein áilis. Marsin, ní ches ástal sin. Alan Dillon, an son, agus Sgwil Davids, Wochora. Whe canis na ngairim sgwilina. Shahin nullig all eir reached. Anna Chossanta Yanavage, Anna Immerstachan, will a pass him out. Shahé Paul Prenti. Urushefe score. Will take a Paul, Lagas Anna Queen, take a Paul Prenti. Wellinish, bigger out of the council, Spraga Oide here, W. Agus Meter W and son, Agus Meter Nagali, Agus said. Well, yeah, then the hostelish against Schneep. Schneemar ha against score, a lot of the way, and full of wine after Agus Shahe, Paul Prenti, reached and tog on but Paraf with the cool canoe, and I hear V, Agus Prenti, and a yes. Shahe Dermot Costello, fast on the podcast. Agus an achta steach the Mayo, Dwayne Flynn, good close to get Tony Garrity. Parna Gaeltach, then his chance again, Garrity, drug down, and here the log of clay. Marsin, Hugnomati, Sakietla, Schnee, Tony Garrity, Hochhauna Sakele, Agus, on Lochtfechen and Son, Agus JP Kane, Agus Derek, Spraga, a hoort, Dust the Mayoik, and Varna Alidos, the Hugnomati, Asogalehammer. Nollig Olay, reached Anna Hossanta Yanavig and Nollig. Goody Gary McLaughlin, Shahe Gary. Kalish Dented, Ta. Marsin, Sir kick. Agus, Nolligo lady. Attack the mach, when he counts a Hugant. Hugweder gestahad, mach on a full heinig. Down on the odd quilt to get. Agus, Connor Moden, Rohistach, Yimashe, Saklahi Canish. The Lura Shul, Dead on the McCartan, Pocher Agus, Connor Martimer and Ish. McGrath Shechraim, a will college Denton, Connor Martimer, Tog and out. Connor Martimer, Agus, Vegon Rachanim, Laurable Tora, Margal Ershin, Paul McCarthy, Agus, well, Maltoid Ralish, Ganala Hedi Yanavar East, Deshige, Connor Martimer, and Gardner Alidu, but he halfway into Paul McCarthy, Shahe Connor Martimer. Will take a Connor, Lennikatoig, Agus printed as to get Connor Martimer, and Trio printed to get Connor Martimer. Printed every three, Martin, do, Etchado, Sakhwahegadisa. And so now, Agus, seeking the Finty, and no, Sakhwahekanish, Gadisa get. But no cousin toys, Agus. Every Howard. Ja, but they were to mess not as a homa, Paul McCarthy. A Rehimacht to Horkick, Kieran McMahon, a Quintero. Agus, Halish Denta, and Ronan Welsh. Alan Burke, Agus Rohistach, Connor Martimer. Plastic to Eddie Burke, Shahe Connor, and a Hongracht and Lena Coil. Eddie Agus and Had Kuramach get kick, Cook Leather, Agus Dahad. Evegown. Eddie Burke. Kick Dahad the Cook Leather, W. He Hoquick and Counter. Bader. Alan Burke, a Hoquigisha, or Alan Burke and Harlor Portgate. Nay. Magda White Burke. Nay Alan. Agus Wiltshire Crave Canish Beat, Ziblian O'Hinley, Ballan Roba. No dimmed ahead, Mike Burke, le Shinchid and Hunte. Agus Shahe Alan and Ish. Derek Counter for Harish Drasna. Wilted Joe, Emil the Carno Gigagus, Kalish Dented Sonner, Dennis O'Hare. Agus Sir Kick, Dusna Cork. No bhfuil sé ceanta chahabh an áde, stoilm tá moltóid chuna chaide chahabh an áde, ceapas gur duine chalais ar duine ó héire, tá moltóid chuna chaide chahabh an áde. Seo agus bachtan sa ge Paul Carey da bhío agus bhí Paul Prenti agus Pointe da bhío bachtan gur duine ge Dwayne Flynn I bhí ann. Seo Dwayne Flynn ó chuisleán a bharraig, dó inis. Seach pointe mar sin, ní lean a chen ceanna bháin, I gairí an ádansa an chaid bachta ansa ag Paul Carey go dtí Dwayne Flynn agus Dwayne Flynn ar is dras ná. Agus seo Alan Burke, leabhad a caide. Déanna cetóig, isteach a Jóna Carnóige. An gairí an ádan, Nóló Donovan. Anna ceann de chorcaig, ceann anna háchtach. Well, gwalar góla hana fórna, nola góla éire, bynnig os na cosantóirí sáir ar a báic. Anna töflíine. Agus W.O. Dermot Costello, acha, bhí bere ar ó chorcaig at sun. Seo Mark O'Connor amach leis. Wintersteach aige, gydí Conrad Murphy, seo Conrad, osagan go bhfuil Conrad cumasach. Well in is sin ceann even. Anna Pointe ar fad ó Conrad Murphy. Pointe clóte. An seachtú ceann díag sa chréibh chomórtas. Osagan go sé gortaithe an dhuiile ceannis, go bhfuil sé cumasach agus Anna Pointe ar fad Góid trí le nád a seacht an Pointe sfar an uwg bidísa. Dénomatí fihead immer a mihe. Á Pointe scarú na bhór nó chéile. Mark O'Connor. Stachad Joan Chúine, rud trasna, Rory Kane, Rimish an ar brasna hin amach. Rory Shelib na caide, amach gydí Dermot Costello. Lena Goran gydí Alan Burke, an mai sé I bhaig. Agus Shahiad Cork, tachta stachad sa, James Masters. Agus chalais dianta James Masters. Marsin, Serchi Gelle, Dochorcig. Agus Conrad Murphy, chunne counsa a hogant. Tí pointe ige Conrad Godisa inú, an Vaishan Caru count, Rivlehama. No, há count Godisa, an Vaishan Triu count, Shahe Conrad. Joe an Húil agus pointe ige Conrad Murphy. Snéin Triu count, Marsin ige Conrad Murphy. Nuig ín díag sa chuibh chomórtas ar fad. Agus tá trí pointe idir na fórne. Marsin há count as a chéile ige Corpig. Chis de bhío a bheith hengireach pointe bháindóibh. Mark O'Connor, buntecha ag Conor Morden. Conor a gluiseach leis agus buinte go deas aige ra gydí Edmund Barrett, seoithe Edmund. Anna scóp ag Edmund, isteach anis gydí Dwayne Flynn. Chalais dianta Dwayne. Mar sin, chala dhéanag an moltóid, raig stoilm go raig enim Eddie Burke in the leabhar. Eddie Burke an moltóid, Michael Monaghan a caintlis, agus cad a dhéana sé. Tá enim a scríb síos aige, agus corta buí sé ag Eddie Burke go chorpig, Jahar the Dave, agus imiríon Eddie dar nó le sínsir bhail an cholig, Conor Mortimer, deisigan bheard a lídú gydí rápainte, Conor lena cetóig agus inis ní lám a rápainte. Conor Mortimer an ceharú pointe ag Conor inú. Mar sin tá sé lehama, tá an adóg séite ag an moltóig an sa, agus na corpíg fantasig a láthar na huide, agus gan idir na fórne, sné Conor Brosnahan, a mánaí, agus seoithe Conor Mortimer fear go bhfuil chiricín de faointí bachtaige ránaíchad na hatsla a cha gimmart sa chúine agus Mark O'Connor fear a levíonn sa caiicí so hinna gimmart nas na hamánathe gimmart go maith inniu agus an scór ag lehama Corpig dó cehead Mayo ná na hocht.
Mayo are playing well, but those Cork goals have put them in the driving seat. The view of the panel after the break.
There were other great players, Snitchy Ferguson, of course, who was probably my hero. I loved him more than anybody. And Ollie Freeney. And my memory goes back to when, if you like, Snitchy played this ball into, I think Paddy Farron was his name, and he juggled past a couple of Derry players and he shot low and hard into the right-hand corner. And I can remember it to this day, the euphoria. Dublin, of course, we had been so long in the backwater of Gaelic football, and this was the emergence of the Sky Blues. Dublin was a very proud place to be.
At Croke Park, and at half-time in the minor match, it's Cork leading Mayo by 2 goals and 4 points to 8 points. Watching that match with me between Pat Spillane and Colm Moore. Colm, I suppose the difference between the two sides, obviously, has been those 2 Cork goals.
Yes, but in fairness to Mayo, they haven't lost heart and they fought back. It's a pity that the game has been played with a lack of atmosphere, but here we have Cork coming through, and the full forward, Kieran McMahon, takes a shot, and you would say that the full-back for Mayo did very well, Ronan Walsh. Makes a very good block, and what happens? It breaks out to Conor Brosnan, and he sticks it in the corner of the net and does very well. Then we have Mark O'Connor takes on, coming through and side foots it in. David Clark had played very well and made a few stops in the Mayo goal, saved it 2 certain goals earlier, but I'd say when he looks at this, he'd probably say to himself if he had to just stand up and keep the angle narrow there, he'd have been able to keep it out. But he had done very well to keep a shaky Mayo defence in it up to that, but Mayo are fighting hard, and you know, I think they still are in with a very, very big chance.
But they have to be inside in the dressing room, Pat, and saying to themselves, listen, we've made a few mistakes, we've got caught out with a couple of goals, and there's still only 2 points in it.
Yeah, one thing we've seen from this Mayo side all along throughout the campaign is that they have great character and great spirit. I mean, they played second fiddle to Westmeath for most of the draw match and came from 5 points down to snatch a draw with the last kick of the game. And similarly, they came from behind in the replay against Westmeath. So they have great character. I mean, most minor teams now, big occasion, crowd getting at them, 2 handy goals conceded, you'd say it's an uphill struggle. They have a great, very, very tenacious defence. It's a reasonably good game. What's most surprising about the game is the amount of blockdowns, huge amount of blockdowns. Fellas just been caught in possession, a little bit slow in releasing the ball, and perhaps at the end of the game Cork might rue a lot of their missed chances. They look to have the more potent attack, but I mean, they kicked 4 balls into David Clark's hand, and they could prove costly in the end, but a reasonably entertaining first half.
No, certainly we've enjoyed it here. We're going to take another break right now. We're back after that with the second half of Cork versus Mayo. Inside the stadium at Croke Park here this afternoon. Nice bit of sunshine now shining down on the pitch as we await the second half of the All-Ireland minor final between Cork and Mayo. But this is the Galway team as they've arrived back into the stadium for their big showdown, obviously. Goalkeeper Martin Mack going through there, Sean O'Dwyer going through as well. Niall Finnegan, big game expected from him. David Tierney, dual hurler and footballer, hoping to maybe get a little game here himself today. So Galway looking a little bit tense and anxious, as you would do before a big occasion like this. Cork coming back onto the field, ready for their clash with Mayo. Colm Moore, can Mayo turn this around?
Oh, I think they can. I've been very impressed with Mayo's fighting spirit. I think the extra game that they had in the semi-final is going to stand to them.
Pat, what do you reckon?
I'm sticking with my fellow Munstermen. I think Cork still have more potential in attack, and if they can get a little bit more from their midfield pairing, which have been quite disappointing so far, but it's still Cork, I think, to win.
Yeah, Frank Murphy, a quick picture of him there a moment ago, man in the news after the game against Derry. Of course, a lot of pressure on Frank to make a rematch of it, but it didn't quite happen. Has to be said, Colm, when this Cork team get going, and they don't seem to get going as much as they should, but when they do get going, they really look fluent, don't they?
Yeah, you'd have to say like that Cork created something like 5 goal chances in that first half, and Mayo didn't seem to be able to create any. Yet Mayo have 8 scores, and Cork have only 6 scores. So, you know, Mayo are making better use of more limited possession, but in the last 10 minutes of that first half, Mayo started to come into the game very well. And, you know, if they run at the Cork backs are giving away frees, and Conor Mortimer is able to punish them. And you have Paul Prenti with the left foot from right half forward, and Dwayne Flynn there, both capable of kicking long-range points. Cork have struggled for points. They've been finding it easier to get in and create goal chances.
Well, I'm sure Seamus Mallon, you saw a shot of him, has been enjoying what he's seen so far in this. Our friend Conor Mortimer has been playing quite well, it has to be said.
You see, he hasn't scored anything from play, so I mean that's the bottom line. I think he's a lovely, naturally.
He's won most of the frees he's scored.
He's a very, very talented forward. Unfortunately, he tends to forget that there are 5 colleagues perhaps at times with him in the forward line, but he's talented, there's no doubt about it.
Okay, 2 points in it then at half-time. Cork with the advantage. There's the man we were talking about right there. Let's see how he and they get on in the second half. Back again to Micheál O'Shea.
Gonna Michael, agus Pemar Visharach, here faointe fachta get Conor Mortimer, agus Take him in the board gets agus gan a half inch and Derek agus inis came go will Kieran McMahon better Dollarmark Lord Port gig a Cork agus Gary McLaughlin a dollar stack gedin Lena Lawn Pasach Galore Aharhe Denta and so again da have agus half inch and Tisig a Cork agus the Boyach will a hole I'm Shehip agus PJ McGrath at son agus JP Kane attack the mach at son at the board Mayo Conor Martimer mar Lawn Pasach and agus Alan Dillon at a hot slot again Mayo about Yaw Roch go will Dwayne Flynn bidder me stach sa chuine ach Shachuin Michael Monaghan Hein an haide have an orde agus tús a chur leis an tarnala cin tú go bhfuil go chéine gart is ré an hain roiil ná ní léon bháiste chant an díana taineh agus tús go leis an tarnala agus Shachuin Mayo hana héine go dodar an ón saí an Padlard Portge Alan Burke ceann mór áir daint sé a go bhfuil níl roada héad na láhavic le hé agus well Nolo Donovan a ligant an gaunt san Sláán ó lé Snéad san Alan Burke agus Muinte Loch takeíocht a chiaraí duine nó rócán Choma láhad na chuide le fiscint Kevin Murphy Nola go léide Sláán a hebuig agus Tus a hebu ó Edmund Barrett Wilte a vadroada héad na láhavic lé agus marsin an bhearna chéana idir na fórne agus a bhí ag le hama. An chríanana tainebanis na scamal le scape an so a bhorca chrópaig an bhorca tramó an chaid breid sim nola go léad a ríist a bhfuil chalíis déanta de a bhiltóir na fil agus seothe Alan Burke bhla na caide sin trasna an son go dtí Dwayne Flynn cinna heróada ag a Dwayne Flynn agus saoircic do chorpaig. Eddie Burke Wiltige agus fachtige Conrad Murphy Conrad har nashgudi Eddie Maclish Eddie Gaffol Eddie Lord Portge Count Moore Fada Ruhimachta Conor Brosnan Anna Countige Conor for se cool se Kiegla Anna Khashikh down a garlish stach a dirige stop Rory Kane Conor Gaffol Kalish Genter Conor agus sair kick Dochorpig Marsin Sair kick de chorpaig agus tá Conor Brosnan sínte a dalabach be sé cat go leir stoilm. Seo hé meachtasteach Conor Brosnan anna ghearadiantaige Rory Kane chur a gothaige agus Alan Burketson agus lecathe ar a dalabh Conor Brosnan a bhí lecha agus deisinis ag Corcaig an countsa James Masters an countsa a chur Harris Drasnán. Marsin deisiige Corcaig dal trífaintach an tusig sní an ili an son agus cnocha sédíag leistíarda an réana taineh agus captain Corcaí James Masters fear réana hinnímo ag cinntiú go bhfuil sé trífaintach an tusig. Marsin an bhearna méadathe le pointe bháin ag an captain James Masters. Mar bís aráilih hana dhimar sé seo anna bhasach lethe le cheannis agus annachad buite le réna hinnímo faoi ísige. Capín inis David Clark chuna rianach bead amach as a thuúile. Chalíos déanta Alan Burke. Agus seothe Mayo ó meachtasteach Alan Dillon, seansaige Alan Wiltige Alan agus builte anna jaastige Alan Dillon. Shane Counson, Harris Drasnán, an chéad ceann. Agus seochuin Kevin Murphy chuna ceansa a bhólamach. Nolo Donovan inis take an álgadí taim na láimhe clé agus seothe Alan Dillon a ríist. Pachtanis ag Alan a gcónaí agus iad a ddíraigh meachtasteach. Hall Prenti, vai sé an ceansa? Well, í chur amach at son agus kickslasa a bheith ann do bhío. Hall Prenti, bhfuiltesteach go deasaige an son go dtí Dwayne Flynn, Dwayne Flynn, goody Paul Carey. Paul Carey, har nashet so goody Alan Burke. Alan Burke, count on or the Joe, have the live edition. Agus a Counson Kuramu. Marshin Aharu, again Mayo. Agus ta Stephen Drake, Takahistach, Ediboid. Stephen Drake, Ediboid, Agus Echin Immert, Damask, Nagusan Toidi, Agus ta Endi Divini, Efogan the Potke. Endi Divini, Emehe. Agus Stephen Drake Ediboid can out. Guardian order, the Horkigetson, Kevin McMahon, Harnash Goody, Dennis O'Hare. Agus tan Moltoy, Honey Council, Havan order. Hug Nomati, Emera, Seafinta Atra, an orderlish Gaunsa, Michael Manahan, Hildara, Wiltelena Horan, and son, again Kieran Murphy, Achfachte, again Alan Burke, Alan Trastnagari, Tony Garrity, Shahe Tony, a Dirigest up, Eddie Burke, Tony, Agus, Will College, Dented, Heidi Hannah Hassav, Fachte, Dwayne Flynn, After Macha Hoshe, Wilter Trastnagari, Paul 20, College, Dented Paul, Agus Anish. Dish again Conor Mortimer Estocho a pointe Elegal a Herikeen Fachtagadi Sage Yadele O'Hare Kikana Agus Shahi on Kuyu Dish when the Orna Alidu Bidi half pointe Maya English Ugnomati Gully the Tarnala Shahi Conor Mortimer, Bultiga Conor, agus Bultiga Dastiga Conor. Marshin, and Quint of Oin, is Garund of Ordne O'Hele. Shinewalatra. Farsoon Bone, agus a Sostenish, Nafalatran, Mohedin Hawk on the Mayo, Heleshavig Law. Jacun Kevin Murphy. Guardian order, Kieran Murphy. Harnash, so Agus College Dente, Dennis O'Hare. Sir Kick, Kieran Murphy. Conrad Murphy, Cork, James Masters, Mehwig, Bonan Welch. Agus Shahe, Kevin McMahon. Kevin Mohalar Podkinish. Ishtachgadi John Collins. Hope again, Nolligolaid, on Sor Hosantoid, Shahen Olig, Machle Sharohar, Adora Shahen Fe, Wiltig and Olig, Sorhe, Ega David Clark, Ashishin Chitihemach, Minik Gama, Connor Morden, Wiltamachige, Agus Wantamachige, Alan Burke, and Tadiga Dassiga, Paul McCarthy, and on Goody Nolligolaid, Goody Kevin McMahon. Kevin a pass on the Kaide, Ishtachatso, Goody James Masters, Agus, well. Capas Gordina Kali Shed, Chesh Norivisha Bull in the Kaide, and son Gorbola, well, near Capan Montoid. Shaft Nomati Gully, and Pointavoin Atra, Yaslama Yishkin to reached, Nivik Deshigan, David Clark. It's all Lorna Potke, Agus Fachtige Paul Carey. Paul agus han Moltoich and accounts of have an order near Hogshe on Oid Carty. Uplukish game good to Hige, it Michael Monaghan, Marshin, Cahagan Moltoid accounts an order. Nation Hitscorele and a Hochtach. Hocht Nomati Emeramehe, Satarnala, and Fuintavoin Atra, Mordelish Guide. Will to learn the Hornaga Kieran Murphy, will to get Stafford Glotigadi, Conor Brosnan, against Will to get Conor against Printed Ass, to get Conor Brosnan. Sha, Elaine Nero, the show, the Barker Folk, again up, the Corkbeganson, and a hostilish Gaunson. Marvishan Sahana, Kaiki, so hin, a Heped, and Ike the Galei, Action score, and Sonagave, a half inch. Well, let's go here. They're going Defid. Conor Morden. Well, to Gadaskady, Alan Dillon again. Alan, like I say, Dennis O'Hare could have got again. Well, Dennis the Tachter Nash. And right, College didn't College, I guess, well, he put Torsten son again. Conor Morden, Afkash Dulhard Nash. Kick Kugvedra Gastahat, Illy Anna Gear, Agus Stolum, Alan Burke, when he counts a Hogan. Áfinte sa chlucha canis, Alan Burke, go bhfuil go as steach a lá slíd so go dtí Paul Carey, sleanathe. Bach go dtí Alan Burke, seansaige Alan. Bhuiilteige go dtí Dwayne Flynn. Bhuilte go Dwayne, vai sé Harnashi. Well, Paul Prenti, steachad so go dtí Conor Morden lena catúig ach Clay. Well, ní hen duine a dhéimireoch a gréibh cheannis a chuntaí, deadánach sem cairn agus a gréibh cheannis na héad na nuh. Tá sé sin diantad sannaige agus JP a súil go néideoig leotha an bhearnasan a léadú a háfaintach an dédig. Agus dhéalachan bróig a ríist ag Marco Conor chorcaí a bheith nó bhfuil sé gorstathe. Gorstú Marco Conor se an bhróig buinte go hiige. Agus seo héad fud an chéirí, Dar O'Shea agus Sean Brenach, Paddy O'Shea agus Peter O'Leary, Cillian O'Brien agus Dara O'Cnéide agus Mac Mudish, iad ile teachtaisteachad so, agus Donlo Dála, Sean O'Cuive, Tomás O'Griffin, Sean O'Crowley, agus Tomás O'Shea, Arda Bóhid, agus Liam O'Hashi, Tacathe an so, chuin aigehút an gaiileh ach seo héad Cork agus Mayo a dheachant le chéile a láthar na huide. Paul Carey, Fastna and so goody Alan Burke, goody Paul Prenti, Shansiga Prenti, and Crean comes a Jonah Carnoige, and the Havoil Dientastig, Emil Avoide and son Eddie Burke. Well, for over the way old son, Eddie Burke, the Arna Boyle, agus anish Kevin McMahon, Carnash goody Nolo Donovan. Count on the Ord, Fastna the Podke, Alan Burke, Wintergo, agus Shahe Machtastach, Kieran Murphy. Shahe Inish, James Master, Shansiga James, Kalaisha James, Anna Yesh, Dish, Glorber, against the Cork and all Cole Finkeen. Agus Conrad Murphy, a Hokage Council. Shahe Conrad. And I do this, 3 pointe a chorrid in the Fordnick. Well, Láshley, agus gan ein darú diantige, an caharú pointe ag Conrad Murphy, an so, a dochortig, agus jaw roch bheith harnash, well, bheith hir an ahat slata goni. Marsin an tábháil agin Eddie Burke so, nuair a hánig an cúlbáide Kevin Murphy amach anna tábháil diantige Eddie Burke, an son, Anna Hossan diantige an aig Mayo. Kieran Murphy, Congrucht an Devline, agus se kickslasse bheith gál, dochortig. Áno Matíag, buirteisteachaige go dtí Kevin McMahon, Kevin Hamo Halár na Párce, an pasfachta harnaise go hénig. Kieran amach leis, sleanathe agus well, dianta go glótige, Marco Conor, ach ní bheith sé tafaige róhin, kickslasse the Mayo.
Come on, Kieran, pick it up, pick it up.
Well, lá even chun caide, buirteisteach a Láshley go dtí Alan Burke agus tucha harnaisige, a rud a Mayo, Tony Garrity, buinteá an son ag Eddie Burke. Eddie agus cosint go maithan sa tarna le, the Cork ceann mór fada, isteach go dtí Gary McLaughlin. Seo Gary, ar anna láide, agus anna rúthar diantige, Ronan Welch cud go ag Gary, a meachtais go fóil, Gary anna gain séireach, an bhaig, Conor Brosnan, cool ele, bhaig, iarach sáirithe, Marco Conor an tachtán builtige, bhuiilinish, huiisih the Mayo, agus tachtamach an soile sin gaid, agus Anas Braga a hótige, the Mayo, Rory Kane, go glóirte raig builtige sin, inish, Mayo, agus Conor Mortimer. Conor Mortimer inish, cúgléadar agus dahad, huiisih dóid, an trasnán builtige Marco Conor ire de bhuileach, seo Conor Mortimer. Well, ha bertu dir against up, agus well, Kinnihanson, most fadige, anadige, Wilter goody Paul Prenti in way. Paul, Glick, Comasach, Skillewy, Amach goody Dwayne Flynn, a long pass, and goody Alan Burke, and Vaishan Pointe. Well, Lagirach, agus Sarhig and Napashik again Kevin Murphy. Count, Paul Prenti Hansa, Shohe Shanselig and way, Tan Pasta Green. Wiltige, isteach go dtí Alan Burke, Anna Yeshiga Alan Burke, Cad Dhéanamh Alan, Anna Rasper, agus sáirithe at san Emil Avoide Paul Dean. Trasna an so goody John Collins. Agus kickmach the Cork in it and way. Well, fish of the Mayo it have a boy niggas fish of the Cork get a live in it. Marshin. The Bunta Shin on Deshigan Bader Irach the Vart O'Connor account of Will Trasna Hon, a Yishkin, Bader Lloyd, Akshahe, Sir Kick Corpir Douche, Giddy Paul McCarthy. Paul McCarthy, Macri, John Collins, Anna Hombracht and Dave Lee, Harnashkiri Paul. Paul of Tarakadi Ganson. Nation Lohesagoni, the Hawk on the Mayo. Agus Shahe, Gary McLaughlin, Ishtapkiri, Conrad Murphy, a Jerry Stopper, Stephen Drake. Stephen Drake, I can say. Conrad Stopper Higgett and the other way, Conrad Harnash. Went to go Heschel, Dracown. Agus Pachta the glow to stick the Mayo, get Connor Morden. Connor Morden, G'day Edmund Barrett, Yahandish, Kieran Murphy, Shahe Edmund, W.O., College did the Edmund, did the win. Well, Neil, on Volto, and if I have an order, stood him. Lashley, see the geared la. Volto, and the council, I have an order. Agus, Nolligola, and son, Agus, Sir Kick, no Hege, the Cork, Teddy Holland, Dinish, Ossiga Goblin. She feinte fantastic. On Banashet fantastic. She in Kest. With the staff, Sarah Hestig against Paul McCarthy. A Machka Glotigity, Conor Brosnan. Brosnan the Poitke. Agus a Ruhish Stafford, Mark O'Connor on a Yara, on a Husha, on a Hoppig Mark, on a Laudel. Well, College did the Mark. With Julian the Hoyle again, by Helish. Sarah Higgadas, they get Conor Morden. Agus, well, look at the Negan, Giant of Sunday on the Hoyle, if well on the kind of on the Hoyle, I guess a file 20. Snowdom, and Council of Will and Trasnawn. The Deshigan, Bader, Yishkin to reached. Martin Daly, well, 20 on the Hoyle. Akshahe, Paul Dean, a ball on the kind of Machatsa, Giddy John Collins. Rai Giddy Conor Brosnan. Conor Brosnan, Rachaun O'Connor, Sarah Hudson, they get Conor Morden. Conor Morden, Gary Alan Burke, Ganesh Shahu in the Mayo, Alan Burke, get 3 feet to Handedi, Count Father, of I Conor Martin with a council, no, of I Nolo Donovan, Noel Lenagoran, Gary Kevin McMahon, Shahe Kevin, Machtlesh Rohar, on Cork, Count Moore Father, Dain Sherach, Agus Chance Foss. Against the Cork League, again, Gary McLaughlin. Gary Calmorard, and a feint to get Gary McLaughlin. Gary Pagimerton and David Burns, agus an ish remade. Go will hit a feint to Corra Idder the Foden again. Had a ord the Mihistach again, far more law today. I an ord Homa, agus ta Jonathan Martin, Takahechan Torke, and so the VO, agus Tony. Gerrity a Machta Joe and Tevlina. Marshin, Shaft down with the Dia Grille, Emeramehe, Aharu Diantage Mayo. The Cork Eganish, because Gray in the shoulder to Kevin McMahon. What you got in Nolly Olay, Parnagaltochter, Nolly Count Moror, the Head Craig and Nolly and Bautasa. Oh, no, Matia, Aun Agus Deshigan Iraq, Bart O'Connor, O'Hienevin, and Hesha Markach. Tite and count the hit to the Dolov, hit Shaheen the Dolov, Haddock Shade, Knetson, Market Tarakade, Agus and Trasnahan Bultige on Meolish. After Novi Meole Mayo, we get it in a year, Gannock Walliga Edmund Barrett, on account, the Stacket Glotigity Alan Dillon, score in Ishatastado Mayo. Eno Matia Gully, Alan Dillon the Matlish. Good weather as Dahan. And pass Sarah, Anna Husson to get Corpig, Dennis O'Hare, on Baltason, on account to get Dennis, she's in Sugary, Conrad Murphy, down the Highway, Gapacha, Pachta Harnashiga, Mark O'Connor, and they are Creon, Captain on the Monahe, Kaikisohen, Harnashinish, Goody, James Masters, Captain Elenu, Sticks a Hooney, the VO, the Porter Rory Kane, Stickets on the Conor Brosnan, Conor Amachtish is there, Anna Yarragan, and Vaisha Cole, and anyway, Anna Hava, like a David Clark. Savon Ulta David Clark Agus and Partner Chance and Sonniga Connor well ni right English Mar Gin David Clark and a Havoy agus seo Conor amachta stachan Rory Kane cur go hiige Curt glóte go hiige Anna Iaracht agus Anna Haváil ag David Clark. Mar sin a deisiligin an council na giscint Conor Brosnahan bí an ile gír roiith leis isteach agus Anna Iaracht Anna Haváil ag David Clark agus an cárta buí fachta Conor Brosnahan an Baltasan a sa chud saihil an míáil leis istochan a fuair sé cúl ach Éireann cheir féinteach an tusig an go Cork coislí nó go Mayo a raig corn scéala Éireann bhí Mayo go mór an aig chundédig an aig na hir bhí a chanda ar a raig agus inis mar sin sér kick de chorpig a cansa. James Masters Amachta sin is goí Kevin McMahon lena catóig seansa stór agus prínta cóta ag Kevin McMahon. Ifir a cardí agad a chrám a lá páilce ha sé gimmert agus sin count anna háchtach fachtaige do Chorpaig. Chorpaig an ceharú pointe inis ag Kevin McMahon. No an ceharú pointe as a chéile ba hirirteach a bará seohat ríiste deisigan pointe Kevin McMahon beidir snéan sanna ach tá cheir faointe as a chéile fachta ag Chorpaig inis. Sin figúir táchtach is dóilimsa. Iléon scór fachta ag Mayo ón séú nómat. Tá fihe nómataí imithe agus Bertrand a he beidir chun tachan parke ag Chorpaig ach seohé Dermot Costello. Scór a tastáil anna bhór ó Mayo. Mike Edmund Barrett ó bheith seohé Edmund Barrett. Stachan is goí Dwayne Anna Iarach ag Dwayne Flynn nach a Iarach sáir ag Paul Dean. Paul Dean luach wasanta sinné Dwayne Flynn a gháláid bit a ceann aige agus Paul Dean a dhéanaan chosint agus Paul Dean agus a gortathe sní máide ní léidan san máthar nóil sa tló ach seohé amachta stachan sa Dwayne Flynn a báil na caide an son a tarachcaide agus Paul Dean agus a chosint diantaige agus a dríiste cosint Kevin McMahon bhuiilteige Kevin go dtí Conrad Murphy agus é meach leis sinis masin ruthar scóp ag Conrad man pasta cumasach an ruthar diantaige agus é meach leis ceann mór ardach ar anna pointe ag Conrad Murphy well Corpaig inis ag mar dawns Cúig pointe as a chéile ag Corpaig tá siad Arabh sásta inis Táman na maithasa sinéan son Conrad Murphy ó Nadine a harsúd an cúigú pointe ag Conrad Murphy Sinéan sanna an pointe I bhid a cúigige mar sin bhí amach na David Clark Táman na maithasa na Corcaí go láthar na huaire seohé Kieran Murphy ar leisgurí Eddie Burke gin Anna Haváil an ámanna cinúnach agus amach leis a raig trasna goí nola gálaide Cad é mar a midúid ar nasin is a rís goí Eddie Burke bhfuilte go hí se lige isteach goí John Collins deisiige John ar nais goí James Masters ach sáirtheiste go David Clark an amach inis goí Paul Prenti Paul Lena Goran goí Edmund Barrett Well, bhí Paul Carey lorach na caideil ach ní anna chu sé. Ag go sé chuige seohé Paul Carey. Nach leis isteach. Paul Barrett Paul an sanna Dennis O'Hare agus sér kick bheith ann do bhío. Mar sin tá sé faointear ar na fód agus fiosachar Dennis O'Hare an son ag an Multóid Michael Monaghan. Tuas le trí nómatí fihead imar a mithe. Táman na maithasa is dóile mar teachtar na Corcaíg agus iad amach dócha cí nach deisiige Conor Mortimer an bhearna a leidú pinte bháin. Sé cí afra a láthar na huaide má gaiiríon deis cúcí na bheith afra, bhuiilteige Conor agus cúig faointe a afra inis. Conor Mortimer agus pinte sannaige agus é dearrig an idir na spreaga, well tháinig ar nais go tréan go húntaach an aig na hiarmhí, an docha siad ar nais an aig na Gorcaíoch sin íon cheist. Mar sin, kick amach a bheith ann Kevin Murphy agus deisigan bheachantar seo a ruk Paul Carey yn countio an dalaf as dóilm gur yin gydain nes y dal oed an dal oed so yr yin Dennis O'Hare yn chala eisiau ni len a horus mar iawlid agus siachwyn yn so nolo Donovan ni hach John Collins chala eisiau John agus ser kick dy chorpig Shane O'Matty, Shinning Nacht Shane O'Matty. The Horan Skilla Aiden, Dun Milish, and Reisha Kushline, and Reisha Mayo, Conor Brosnan, Edgar Corky, Reisha Lord, and Wade, and the Harry Skill, Conor Brosnan, Conrad Murphy, Erigany, Conor Brosnan, Conor Gahar, Gocrain, Agus Quinta Elegant, Conor Brosnan, Mashin, Corky, Shinta Eridolov, and so. Agus tá sé faointe idir na fórna caithfar an imir stop but fach tamil mar tá Gary McLaughlin is tólam sínte ar a dalamh. Gary McLaughlin is tólam a hain a dalamh an fear lá páirce a chuig isteach agus tá inadaí takeithe an páirce tá Mark O'Connor imithe an loich a bhíco tá Declan Barron takeithe isteach tá Declan Barron ar a bord tá Mark O'Connor imithe Tar bhí gimmert ar aus fad Mark O'Connor an duine gan a dhéana fear a bhí ar báid agus tócha go gapan siad go bhfuil a chluthe buite go béidir agus a dtéann Gary McLaughlin is tólam ar a dalamh agus deisigan a rís béidir é sin a giscint an son se an tlíhit Gary tólam an son ar a chuis gortathe Gary McLaughlin gortathe Tá Declan Barron take a head of board, agus Toskin, Kecho Magus of Ahar Shoots and Iron. Tá Declan Hain, Tá Declan Oglish, Goma, Sonair, a Lord the Huede, Tá Common the Mahasa of the Cork, Tá Gary McLaughlin, Ida hit in the Hassav, Agus, while in Bnachti, Hulgadi, Martin Delaney, Agus Niall Buckley, Hall the Chicago, if you can take Chluhin the Minuit, Agus, Corin Queen of Coin, Tammy Murphy, Leisha, Le Brunner, or a John Highland, Le Brunner Lloyd, when you got Hemidoidi, Akshahe, Dermot Costello, Welta Egashu, the Nishkadi, Edmund Barrett, Harnashkadi, Alan Burke, Harnashkadi, Edmund, Coimert Gas, on Baisha score off. Butcher, he shall again at Hannah, Lish Dickinson. Well, Kevin Murphy, Agus Peter Hangavik, Dwayne Finlay, Anna Havoylinson, Dwayne Flynn, Hangavik Shelley, Cheshtive, Welta, Agus. Kevin Murphy, count Anna Kinunach the Hotpig. Agus, Sir Kick the Hotpig, Agus, Gary McLaughlin, Fos, Capper Gary, Hoganton Bord, the Stolum, Pa Gary Gorstahe, Pa Bertico Gorstahe, Pa Berchinte at a board. Agus, on Tunsi Dernach and Son, a Yin Mayo, yet got Shane and Hoyd and Hole, on Hyde Builte, Dwayne Flynn, Stolum, a Tangavoyle, Agus Anna Havoyle, Kevin Murphy. Inish Ta. In the Elle attacked at a board the Cork Agus David Burns, Agus Declan Barron, Shin Bertivi Gimmert Lohan, Bertica Sotaka and Porke, a host by Gary McLaughlin at a board. Nietzsche and on and Porke Hog, and just told him Pasha Gustave. Agus Sha, Capra Humper, John Tavlini, Agus Cowell and Shintown, O Katasha the Dianov, Corlaish the Cur Gary, Gortich Ferroe, Gortich Hush, Agus Inish, Agus and Stolem Fat Kiana, and so Sha, we Hush got to his Tushkim Lena, the Stolem Homa, Gary McLaughlin, Wallabassa Oilige, and that Hoch Nomati Fihid, Emery Mehe, Agus Mashin. Mayo Derek Dublin on see Sorheke John Collins Trasna Hensa, Goody on Chunadi, Declan Barron, Goody, Nolo Lady, Wachna Hemera Dumsa in Ovagus and Fargowell Corin, Tommy Murphy to get Hoch Namati Fihid, Emery Mehe, Agus, a Hoino with Falker, come on the Mahasa and the Corky, a Hoho less Parolica. Yet a gimmert Nisfair, Namayo, Satarnala, near a Margoine, either the Ford as a Hietla. Agus Declan Barron, Rahamach, and Pass Lodikige, took a Harnashige, the James Masters, Lenikatoy, James Gahard, Agus, well, Shnegate, Anna Pointiga, James Masters, Agus the Hen Homa, Erda Corky, Greg Coran, Skilla Aiden, Cushley, Dunblian, Ravile, Agus, Anna Had Lechnaka, Ach Noligolade, Dumsa, Lechna Hemera, Agus, Coran, Tommy Murphy, Tiltiga Mahige. Shahuin, David Clark, Wilta Mahage, Shane Noligarish, Noligolade, Aragadi, John Collins, Harnashinish, Goody, Kevin McMahon, Anna Yara Kevin, Anna Yeshiga Kevin, Wiltiga Kevin, oh, Laghirach to Kevin, Agus Shahe, Rory Kane. Rory Kane, get a rosh you're all to go here, we Kevin, another cutting again. As a better, go will Neil Fockach no matter what. Rory Kane, her nationalish, goody Edmund Barrett, Mayo, Smith, Cork, and Derek, the couch Steve, Agus, Shahe, Inish, Paul Carey, Cadianic Paul, Kurishep Hole, my English, Paul the Matlish, the Father Hatkish game, and Agus, well, we, a number wasn't to idiot. Agus Inish, a Tachtamachan so. Paul Dean, Gortihe, Anna Hossan Dient to get Paul Dean. Ach, a cat galore, Corlaish, Stolem, Ocherer, Agus, the Kerry Gitson, Agus, Kadari Hashet so the Queen of. Well, Tossum, which is the Queen of Edding Island, good strain. Lahwedich like Emere, Emehe, and Moedor Shaw, Agus in a noun breshe Inish. Only go later, Rish, Lena Horan, and I get Kieran Murphy. Agus Shahe, the Weo, a Machtastach, Alan Dillon. Edmund Barrett, Agus Painting Edmund Barrett, the Pasha both the enough, while Lahwedich like Emere Mehe, how Michael Manahan Gildara Fiachted Uedoid, Agus Comma, Unvua, O'Hallow, and Corking. Though a do year, a lot of the way, not a do year, on Da Holson, a Scaroon Navorn, O'Hale, Agus Anna Hossan, Dietagus, the Corking and Sus at Hartala. Kevin Murphy, Anna scored on the fact against the Tussa Hedoid, Homa, Edmund Barrett, to Paraquay, the Pinto again, if Kalish Dented. Jan half accounts on the hood for him, other Huntersig. Connor Morden, a Waller Stachenson. Jonah Carnoig, Alan Dillon, the Vaisha Cole, Alan, a Bill avoid it. The River Toilet, she can't bout it. And Counson, Paramach, Kick Huiver, Gastah, the Vegal, Nagas, Nomad Brisha, Emerigan, Multoid. Agus, the Corky, Vega Kelura, Coran, Skilla Aiden, Eddie Lee, Kushboy, Nina Mariella Shin. Idolum Gavike, the Mayo, Hawk, and now Brisha, Connor Martimer, Agus, the Gihil Diantige. Ach, I know the Gihil, the Refshe, the Router in Horror, Leshna Corky, Higino, and Counson, Agus Kick Cruiser, that Agus had reached. Agus Nomad Gilly, down Brisha, and Taumish, Launo Leshinish, and Croke, and Night Namayo, Son the Gorky, Agus, and Son. On Carlo Torque, Gary McLaughlin, Edda Devlin, Agus Mico Laughlin, Clihana Fish, on Tunnedy, on the Ronoid, if you check him, the Sheensher, Tamil, Shahe Stephen Drake, go hard, Agus Pintiga Stephen Drake, Sha, Ach, Washem Hostiana, Manu Mitz, Dom Bresci, Emehe, Agus Crutney's Fair, Flora School, again Pintishin, Stephen Drake, Ach, Shinnevilown, Mar, is Georg Shade for Estolium. Kevin Murphy, 13 counts of Wallamach. On slow Baloo, Stackets of Barker Croke, Gigoni. Well, Tickets, Fachtiga Dessiga, the Sonic Alan Burke, Nolagolay, the Lechna Hemmer, Goody John Collins. John Collins had nice initiatives, the Costas, the Corky, give a hot bogo, when you go in it, what the way, a Fachtiga Dessiga, Rory Kane, Shaher Rory, Rowley and a free, scored pressure oil. Sarah Higgett, Paul McCarthy, goody Dennis O'Hare, goody John Collins, goody Conrad Murphy, Lachie Reichas doch an Nolagolay, the Harnagal dochter, Lech Cosenta Horky, Witterstacke, Gloten Sonige, goody Declan Barron, Agus, Pachta Hanashiga Nolagolay, the Stajo Malavoid, Sarah Hishtiga, David Clark, the Machgadi, Dermot Costello, Ashane, Shiel Corky, Goel Corran, Skilla Aiden, Whittaker, then Lian Ravile, Whittaker slacht for an Eden Waker, Agus Lechna Hemmer Dumpson, Nolagolade, Do a Do Yeg, Ega Corky, Schnenson, Nolagolade, Agus Hilda Matra, a Gorky. Anna Hosenter Fadian Tenewege, Anna Husbontes took a Hewege, Agus Schneeanson, Marco Connor, on Tomani, Vishu the Gimmerted House, Homa, Godiga Meganda, and Porky Hogent, Agus Codden Tammy Murphy Martian, Wittigan Oligo Lady, Agus Dodo Yeg, Lenor the Tree Yeg, the Muyo, Gagas Anna Yimochet Fad. buchant an idigara sa chluhi canish tá buite an tarna blian as a chéile ora an sa chluhi canish agus well meine éine sin nach the Cork de calúra a láhar na huide Taigo Heláin Diarmid O'Donovan mi Hollow Loughlin Liam de Ban agus Taigo Calachain a dóibh líne an idir ar fad pógáitachas ó chríileha agus buite the slachfar in idir an Gaeilge an sa na Mayoig agus mar sin is gear go munfar Coran scéala éireann ora a sé a calúra amma a lár na páirce a láhar na huide agus anna tradiisiún menúir sné Frank Murphyson an scór dearnach an sa a báce Croke Cork dó a dó dhéag Mayo nád ag trídia. Agus síoslinn inis go dtí an fearr bheith pléile se gluthe mór Marty Morrissey agus Martin Kearney. Agus decraftaí an sanagin leis an microphone ag Marty agus Martin Kearney haintlis snéad a bheith smatsú le a gluthe mór idir Ciarí agus an Ghailibh agus iad idir a bhlíine agus na Mayoig agus iad anna ímá a láhar na huide an brunna a dhéanamh inis idir buachach forfaí. Deisigan an gáthúil a ghiscint an sa bhainte isteachsan go dtí Conor Brosnan agus an chéad count naim sé go glóte ag Conor Brosnan agus an tarna count snéad fearr a gin an ruachar Marco Conor a meachtais fada féimlíne léanacha tóig par segam lán fógaí bhuigeile bhaidúid an a húil agus snéad san éirlam an chumin an rochtúid an tádas go fómáin agus Sean McCaig bhí hána flis agus ahans a húltan sa ag éirlam an chumin a báce Croke agus tí an brunna a dhéanamh.
Bhaileán fórsan agus na chun féin a bhuigus ó trí a gáin an dá éireann. Gold for Cork in Croke Park today. Gold for Cork in Sydney tomorrow. The English poet Alexander Pope commented on the way the aged, the elderly were treated in his day. He said, "See how the world its veterans rewards, a youth of frolics, an old age of cards." Cumann Lucas Gael has been treating its veterans royally this millennium year. The selection of millennium teams, celebrations, the 25 captains of the last 25 years commemorated here, present last hurling final day, and today the champions of 1975 will appear. Nor have the GAA neglected to educate and give lessons to the young people in regard to cards, yellow cards and red cards. 1 you're still on and 2 you're gone. Now the Cork miners have been very fast learners in regard to cards. However, tugan sé tána car cimse go chun Tomás Barkham a bhronna captain Corky, Seamus Buckafoster, James Masters. Seamus Verbu agus Banach.
So, congratulations then to Cork, the minor champions for the year 2000. After the break, it's the big one. It's Galway versus Kerry in the Bank of Ireland Senior Football Final. But first, see if these guys put you in the mood.